Hi there everyone and welcome to this week's market update. Don't forget that any advice contained within this presentation is general only, so it isn't tailored to your particular circumstances. You need to decide for yourself whether it's appropriate to you. Okay, so basically our market's still stuck sideways for now. Since last week, not much has really changed. But all in all, guys, look, I've got a few things I'm looking at technically. First things first, for the XJO, we can redraw in this uptrend line. There's enough touch points through there in recent times to revalidate something. Okay, so basically we had a couple of trend lines that we're looking at. Obviously through this period of time, we're drawing in something more like this. Okay, and bringing that through to the bottom of COVID. That was a bit too steep, okay, as uptrends go, especially on an index like the XJO. So that particular line, and I'll just make it a little bit bolder so you can see, that line there obviously broke down recently, in which now we could be finding a new uptrend line. Okay, a little bit shallower, which is a bit more healthy, a bit more longer term when it's a bit shallower. Okay, so we're looking at this stage whether that's going to be the new norm or not. So zooming in, guys, we're just broken outside of a pennant pattern. Now, for me to really validate this uptrend line, I want to see a break through this most recent resistance here at 74.80. We've got some bullish signals, okay, so it looks like we're heading towards that resistance level in the coming days, and we'll be looking out to see whether it will break through this time or not. The test of this resistance will be the fourth test in most recent times here. Okay, fourth and fifth test, normally it breaks. Hate to say it though, we've also tested support about 4 or 5 times as well. So I kind of suspect we're going to get out of this range in the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks, which would probably make sense as well. Okay, usually we get weakness around this time of year and then a kick up into Christmas. So at some point December, late November, we might start running. Let's just see what happens. I guess a few things have got me a little bit more excited today. The miners have come to life after pulling back and going sideways for a long period of time as well. We've got some strength in the iron ore price, and I think that could also help be a driving factor up through that resistance level. Let's kick across to the S&P 500, and they're looking very different to us at the moment in that they're testing all-time highs. Okay, they've been going sideways below this all-time high resistance level since early November, so we're almost a full month of sideways now. Okay, last night they took a nice big attempt to drive through that resistance level, but it failed and came straight back in to sit around roughly same levels as what we've seen over the last week. US futures are pretty flat at this stage, so I'm not getting any real strong leads or indication of what to expect tonight. It's going to be a little bit hard for our market to keep rallying if they pull back. Okay, they probably should pull back. They're looking a little bit overdone up here. We've got a little bit of a double top starting to play out. So if we fail here, our market, well, their market could easily have a bit of a grind down. Once again, very common late November after their reporting season, seasonally. Bit of weakness, bit of a pullback, run into Christmas. So look, guys, honestly, there's anything on the table right now over the next few weeks before we see our Christmas rally. It could start early, it might not be till mid-December. It's always hard to tell, but I think we're on a knife's edge. Okay, for the US, it's either they're going to keep pushing up higher from here, or they're going to have a bit of a pullback. Okay, which they're overdue for, but you know, they're always overdue for a pullback, right? The way their market's been behaving recently. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, the US has been on a knife edge. I think our market's found a bit of support here. I suspect our market will probably either hold sideways or climb from this point. Okay, so iron ore's kind of surprised us this week with a nice big rally. Okay, so we've seen 3 straight sessions up in the iron ore futures. Today, the iron ore futures rose by almost 10%. So we've seen iron ore futures jump the most I've seen in a while, in quite a while. In fact, really going back to maybe September. I guess we've got a lot of people speculating that this could be the bottom here. Okay, let's just see. All right. All in all, when you look at the longer term charts on iron ore, that is in a downtrend. Okay. It's too early to tell. There's still lower peaks and lower troughs here. We've just got to wait to see whether this will end up being the bottom or not. Okay. I do still believe the iron ore miners are very, very cheap at these levels. Iron ore at 100 or even at 90, Fortescue should be a $20, $21 stock. BHP should be a $40, $45 stock, really. So at the end of the day, I still think these miners are very, very cheap regardless, but the market in the medium term is just going to keep bouncing around with iron ore. We know that China's going to continue to curb their steel production until after the games next year. Okay. What we could be seeing here is a rush to buy in iron ore, okay, and store with everything that's happening with COVID in China at the moment. Who knows, right? We'll probably find out over the next couple of days. We often see big movements in iron ore and find out a day or two later. Okay, but at this stage, look, that's what's rallying. If that continues to rally, if we continue to see strength hold through the industrial metals and through iron ore, okay, that could definitely be a bit of a catalyst for our market to continue rallying. We'll see what the next few days brings. I guess the big news overnight is Fed Chair has won his second term. Okay, so Jay Powell, will be Fed Chair for a second term. What does that mean? Well, more of the status quo. We know they're tapering bonds. That's not going to change. He has been pretty clear that he has no intent in increasing rates next year at this point. So, look, I think the market likes that. Okay, we did see quite a bit of selling in the bond market space last night, but I don't think that really has much to do with Jay Powell. I think that's more to do with market. Well, people were holding back to see who was going to win, right? So look, at this stage, it's much of the same. I don't really see this as a big catalyst one way or the other. We'll find out next year, okay, who's right, whether it's the Fed being right or Jay Powell being right, saying that rates aren't going to go up straight away, or whether the market's going to be right, which is, pricing in a couple of rate rises by the middle of the year. So let's see, okay. Biden spending, okay, so Biden's now pushing for his social agenda to get through. So look, there's a bit of an uphill battle, I think, that's going to happen here. Last time we saw them push the industrials bill, it took them, 6 months? Okay, so yeah, don't know if we're going to see this before Christmas or not, guys. For some reason, I doubt it. But nonetheless, the more they push for it, the more that helps the positive sentiment in the market. There's just more government spending. The debt ceiling is the next big thing, guys, right? So by early to mid-December, okay, the US government is going to run out of money unless they push that debt ceiling out again for another 12 months. So let's just see whether they can come with a plan. See how there's kind of a let's see attitude going on with the market at the moment, and that's why it's so whippy, because it's let's see how this plays out. Let's see how this plays out. And as we start getting rid of more and more uncertainties, okay, then we clear the way for a nice big Christmas rally, right? So I think the debt ceiling for me is that last bit of I'm not sure, right? Once we get past that last bit of I'm not sure, then I'm feeling pretty good about all markets, really. I think we'll get that nice kick up into Christmas that we're looking for. Last but not least, things to mention, obviously, is the COVID case numbers through Europe and US are increasing once again. We've seen a steady increase over the last 4 weeks, but the last week was a pretty big spike, actually. Now we're starting to see many countries talk lockdown measures again throughout Germany, Europe, and through to the US as well. So we're seeing the travel stocks pull back on the back of that. So it's quite the opposite to what's happening here in Australia, but our travel stocks will tend to follow leads from overseas. Okay, so Flight Centre's been hammered, Qantas is back down, despite Australia starting to reopen. So let's just see how that tug of war goes. Okay, I think each round that we get of lockdowns and things like that, the market shrugs it off pretty quickly. Okay, so look, we might get a few more weeks of weakness in the travel sectors, but then let's see, right? There's definitely going to be a trade on the back of this, right? The travel sector pulling back gives us another bite at the cherry going long in the travel space. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that space over the next month. Also, right? Well, let's just find the bottom. All right. So yeah, look, banks have pulled back in our market as well recently, which is very common to the seasonal pattern. So you'd want to be starting to look at the banks for bullish trades soon as well, right? I think they'll bottom out over the next week and start kicking up to sideways. Okay. All right, so that's where we're at, guys. Look, all in all, I think our market's still looking pretty positive. We're just going to get through some short-term uncertainties. If iron ore holds up, I think our market could easily rally through this channel to the upside and test the all-time high. We've been meaning to play a bit of catch-up to the US, so US sideways, iron ore hold strengths equals us up a bit higher, I think, in the next week. All right, that's where I'm at. All right, thanks for listening in. Take care, and bye for now.